The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior ENT.
Risky behavior. Risky behavior.
Yo. Welcome back to Risky Behavior ENT. I am your host, Mr. Diabolical himself. Where did I place my water cup? Oh. Found it. Anyway, today we're going over Ben Crump and is he a race beta? And I don't think there's no question about it. He might be, might not. Maybe it's a grift, maybe it's not. Or is he just doing his job as a civil rights attorney? I don't know. We're gonna go over some of that. Particularly today we're gonna touch on the Trey Reed case, because recently Trey Reed's family has accused Mr. Ben Crump, civil rights attorney himself, of withholding information relating to an autopsy report when it comes to his son. Yes, Trey Reed's family is saying, hey, because when Trey Reed was found, he was passed away, he was found hanging from a tree. Ben Crump and Trey Reed's family were saying that, hey, you know what, this is foul play. Ain't no way he would hang himself. And the police department, they did an autopsy report saying that they don't suspect foul play. Trey Reed's family, there was a second autopsy done, and the family is saying that that second autopsy, which was paid for by Colin Kaepernick, the family is saying that, hey, Mr. Ben Crump, after the second autopsy report, he withheld that from us, which seems out of character for Ben Crump, because Ben Crump is like the main one in these conferences saying that he wants transparency. He demands transparency. He's always accusing the police of withholding information. And now you got a family accusing him of that, withholding information. I want to play something real quick. This is a recent press conference he did for the families that he is working with and representing. Ben Crump is busy. He's on so many cases. Right now it's ridiculous. Is this the one I want to do? Nah, it's this one.
Justice for Daniel Earp. Justice for Daniel Earp. Justice for Tyler Smith. 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 Justice for our black children. Justice for our black children. Justice for our black children. Black children. Justice for our black children. Justice for our black children. Justice for our black children. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me say how much I appreciate you all coming out for this important media conference. We have organized this press conference.
All right, well, I ain't gonna play all of that one. Now, so recently, Ben Crump. This says Ben Crump presser live demanding justice for Nolan Wells, Daniel Irving, and Tyler Smith. Many people pointed out that while he was screaming out these names, saying that we want justice for these people, you had people pointing out, well, why didn't he say anything about Trey Reed? What's going on with that case?
Authorities in Mississippi are now working with the FBI and tell us this morning that they can only say so much, but are trying to make clear to the public that the tragic death of Delta State University student DeMartravion Reed did not involve any foul play. Trey, as he's known, is the young black man who was found hanging from a campus tree on Monday morning. Reed's family is having trouble believing authorities, saying that he was happy and excited about college. They're demanding to see video of his final moments that police say they have.
There's video out there, and we can't speak to that at this moment. It's still an ongoing investigation.
According to an early report from the county coroner, the student didn't suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. Lawyers for the family are now calling for an independent autopsy and a more thorough investigation, saying that Trey's family deserves answers they can trust. We cannot accept rushed conclusions when the stakes are this high.
That's the report. Ben Crump is joining us now. Ben, they say there's no foul play. We need an update on the autopsy. People want clarification on this. Everybody's interested in it. It should be on every single network. What's going on?
If it was my child, I would want complete transparency. I wouldn't want to take the word of anybody who comes out day one and says, well, there's no foul play involved. Well, how can you rush to a conclusion that quickly? And so we are going to have an independent autopsy that Colin Kaepernick, Know Your Rights Autopsy Initiative, is going to help have done on behalf of the family.
I'm glad to see that the Kaepernick initiative is out there doing good work.
Authorities in Mississippi are now working with the FBI and tell us this morning that they can only say so much, but are trying to make clear to the public that the tragic death of Delta State University student DeMartravion Reed did not involve any foul play. Trey, as he's known, is the young black man who was found hanging from a campus tree on Monday morning. Reed's family is having trouble believing authorities, saying that he was happy and excited about college. They're demanding to see video of his final moments that police say they have.
There's video out there, and we can't speak to that at this moment. It's still an ongoing investigation.
According to an early report from the county coroner, the student didn't suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. Lawyers for the family are now calling for an independent autopsy and a more thorough investigation, saying that Trey's family deserves answers they can trust. We cannot accept rushed conclusions when the stakes are this high.
That's the report. Ben Crump is joining us now. Ben, they say there's no foul play. We need an update on the autopsy. People want clarification on this. Everybody's interested in it. It should be on every single network. What's going on?
If it was my child, I would want complete transparency. I wouldn't want to take the word of anybody who comes out day one and says, well, there's no foul play involved. Well, how can you rush to a conclusion?
All right, so that's Ben Crump saying that, hey, if that were my family, I would want transparency, which is a funny thing for him to say when discussing this case, because now you say Trey Reed's family says Crump never shared final independent autopsy results and stopped responding. And that's what a lot of people are questioning now, is that is it all just a grift for him? Does he really care about getting answers, or does he really care about transparency? Or is it simply just about what lines his pockets? What if the case can get him the limelight that he wants? He'll stay with it. If it doesn't prove profitable, he abandons it. And that's what's coming up when it comes to this Trey Reed's case. So nearly a year after a group of Delta State University football players found 21-year-old student Trey Reed hanging from a tree on campus, his family says the attorney who vowed a full investigation in the early days has not spoken to them in 7 months. He also never gave them the final results of the independent autopsy he promised. The discovery of a young black man hanging in a tree on September the 15th, 2025 made national news, raising the specter of Mississippi's history and racist lynchings. Ben Crump, a nationally renowned civil rights lawyer who helped secure a $27 million settlement for the family of George Floyd, came to the family's aid and cast doubt on the state autopsy's official ruling that Reed's death was a suicide. And so it's big money and what he's doing. $27 million. Which of course there's no price that you put on a loved one's life. But I'm just speaking to the thing when people say, oh, he's in it for the money. That's the money that they talking about. He gets a cut of that. Which I'm assuming most of these families don't have money. So he probably goes to them, speaks to them, and hey, if we win, you just give me a cut, and take care of me. All right. So he helped the family secure an independent autopsy with funding from former NFL athlete Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative. And of course, that's Colin Kaepernick, the guy who took a knee and lost his job. Trey's death evoked the collective memory of a community that has suffered a historic wound over many, many years and many, many deaths. Crump said in a statement on September the 19th, 2025, peace will come only by getting to the truth. We thank Colin Kaepernick for supporting this grieving family and the cause of justice and truth. But more than 10 months later, Reed's family members say they feel that they've been abandoned by the advocates who pledged to stand at their side, the lawyers and institutions that first spoke up on their behalf when Reed's death was national news. I've been calling Ben Crump. I haven't heard anything from him since he said that he would get back in touch with me between Christmas and the first of the year. Trey's mother, Sophie Reed, told the Mississippi Free Press in an interview in April they would not answer the phone for anybody. Now, as the public's eyes has moved to more recent cases, the family says they're left waiting for answers. We're just trying to figure it out. We just want to know what really happened, said Trey's grandmother, Sharon Candy Tillman, said. And you gotta understand it for any family seeking answers, especially when you got somebody like a Ben Crump that comes through the door and says they're going to get the answers. They reinforce the doubt that you already had in your mind, which any family would feel that way. If your child unalived themselves, you don't want to believe no crap like that. No, can't be. And we in Mississippi? Nah, man, he wouldn't do nothing like that. Hanging? No. Somebody did that to my baby, and you got Ben Crump reinforcing that idea in your mind, and then you just get left high and dry. Now I'm not sure because Ben Crump he's the big name, so I don't know if they dealt with him directly all the time or somebody on his team, but it really wouldn't matter. His name is the big name that's on there. He's accountable for this. And this is uncalled for, especially when I see him with every other family at every news conference. The police are withholding information. We demand transparency. He's Mr. I want transparency. Come on, 7 months. 7 months. And I guess what happens is when you tell this family all these things and you make promises, and then you get the second autopsy report that says, hey, we still don't find any evidence of foul play. He in fact, unalived, or, harmed himself, then but you go to the family and you tell them that. You don't just ghost them. Come on, man. This ain't no damn horrible no date that went wrong. So here we go. Evidence included um unaliving text messages, suicidal text messages. Though the Tillmans and the Reeds are pursuing answers in Trey Reed's death separately, both find themselves in similar circumstances as the anniversary of his passing approaches. Shortly after the discovery of Trey Reed's body on the campus in Cleveland, Mississippi, authorities investigating his death said that the video evidence existed. There are videos, Delta State Director of Public Safety Mike Pillar said on September the 17th, 2025. They are in the hands of the investigative team. Pillar declined to specify what videos he was referring to and if they included footage of Reed's death. Now, the family has clarified that the only videos they've been shown came from the morning of Trey's discovery and no surveillance footage whatsoever from the moment of his death. The conversation with Trey's family also revealed a critical piece of evidence previously undisclosed to the public. Both sides of the family stated that Trey's girlfriend at the time of his death provided investigators with suicidal text messages from him the evening before his body was found. And the message read that he was going to hang himself. Sophie Reed told the Mississippi Free Press on April 23rd. And I wonder when information like this is found out. And I guess that's why a lot of people do go to the whole like this is just some race baiting stuff. Because if these text messages exist, why come to the public with all this? Knowing the history in Mississippi, knowing what's going on in the country right now, everybody's angry right now. Like racial stuff right now is just like insane. So like you got messages like this, and that's how he was found, the exact way that he said that he was going to, harm himself, and you allow Ben Crump to paint this narrative. Like when was this found out? Sharon Candy Tillman confirmed that she had also seen the messages that her grandson had sent to his girlfriend threatening to unalive himself, in addition to messages stating that he had made a previous attempt but failed. Candy added that in the messages, Trey's girlfriend had told him that she would call his grandmother. She never received that call. She said she never received that call. She said he would normally send those kinds of messages to her, and she would say, "Just go to bed, and we'll talk about it tomorrow." So Candy added that in the messages, Trey's girlfriend had told him that she would call his grandmother. She never received that call. She said he normally would send those kind of messages to her, and she would say, "Just go to bed and we'll talk about it tomorrow." Candy told the Mississippi Free Press on July 23rd. So he had a history of this. And so I wonder if a part of me is just, I don't know how to feel about it. I wonder if maybe Ben Crump found out about this later on and just decided to wash his hands of those people. Maybe he felt like he was being taken advantage of. And, because honestly, if this is the case, his services are not needed. But I still think he could have, if what they're saying is true. If what they're saying is true. When I read things like this, it's going to sound bad, but I kind of read that somebody's being dishonest with the public. And so now I don't know what to believe. Did he truly ghost them or not? We just want the truth, whatever that looks like. The death of Trey Reed inspired a what's that? A maelstrom of speculation and outright misinformation, but no claim has loomed over the investigation more persistently than the idea that Reed was the victim of blunt force trauma prior to his death, and assertion that, if proven, would upend the entire investigation and contradict the findings of the coroner and the office of Mississippi's chief medical examiner, Dr. Stacy Turner. The rumor was tied to the second autopsy performed by Dr. Matthias Okoye, an independent forensic pathologist. Now, the origin of that rumor is clear. The closest the family got to learning the results of the second autopsy, came in early October 2025, when the family says Okoye conducted a Zoom meeting to share preliminary findings, not his final determination as to the manner and cause of Trey Reed's death. Shauna Tillman, Candy's niece and a close advocate in the aftermath of Trey's death, remembers the call. In it, Okoye discussed his analysis of some form of injury to Trey's neck. His conclusion was that he could not tell at the moment because he was missing some key evidence. Shauna told the Mississippi Free Press on July 23rd. Sophia Reed also recalls the meeting with Okoye and told this reporter that the forensic examiner had indicated the presence of trauma to her son's neck and head, as well as some form of bruising on his buttocks, but wasn't prepared to finalize the results without reconstructing the whole scene, in her words. In addition to the belt, she said the state medical examiner also retained parts of Trey's neck that Okoye needed for a final determination. So I guess it's similar to the Nolan Wells case when they conducted the second autopsy, but the coroner had removed parts of Nolan's neck. And I was looking at an interview with a lawyer, and he said that is quite common. So it's not like something that they were just doing in these cases to be sneaky or something, but it's quite common that happens. The second autopsy, they might get the body and certain parts may have been removed. Though the meeting was sometime in the past, Candy said that what Okoye was missing was the belt belonging to Trey used in the hanging. The grandmother said that without it, Okoye could not confirm whether or not a specific injury to Trey's neck had been caused by the buckle of that belt. The family had hoped to get more conclusive answers once the independent autopsy was finalized, but after that meeting, the autopsy simply faded from public view. Neither Sophia Reed nor Candy Tillman ever heard directly from Okoye again. The Tillman family said they felt disrespected by Ben Crump's law office from early in the process. Crump's team assigned them a Memphis-based lawyer as a liaison, they said. So that I asked about that earlier. Was they always working closely with Ben Crump? But I guess that answers my question. They were working with a Memphis-based lawyer. Conversations and trying to get information was very hard. He would either not text back or not call us back. And we would have to call 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times for him to call back. Shauna Tillman said he would promise us an answer 1 week, and a week would go by and we still wouldn't have an answer. So we're back playing Chase the Lawyer again. And before long, in the eyes of the family, Crump has simply moved on to the next high-profile case. Weeks passed, then months. The 1st of January this year was the last the Tillman said they had heard from Crump. No matter how often they call, Candy said they can't get so much as a response. Crump has since taken on multiple high-profile cases in Mississippi, including the police shooting of infant Cohen Wiley in Senatobia and the death of Nolan Wells on Horn Island. In both these cases, Crump also pursued independent autopsies, announcing the preliminary results for each within weeks. That's another one too that I was thinking about that I didn't really hear the name in that in that press conference when he was saying justice for people was pointing out like, oh well, um he didn't say Trey Reed's name. Let me see.
Justice for Daniel Earp. Justice for Daniel Earp. Justice for Tyler Smith. 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 Justice for our black children. 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 Justice for our black children.
I apologize. The audio on that video is jacked up. But to say justice for our black children, I did wonder why baby Cohen was not, because that one I would think, I don't know, would be included up in there. You remember Cohen is the one where the parents were accused of robbing the Walmart. Well, I guess would it be shoplifting? I guess they was taking diapers. They left out the store, approached by police. They tried to drive away. Police officer said that, they feel their life was in danger. You know how they say, like, if you move the car while the cops are trying to arrest you, if the car comes towards them, I guess they can consider your car a weapon. Anyways, they shoot into the car. They knew a baby was in there. Bullet hits the baby Cohen, and he dies. So, but that's a case where you have two people stealing. I'm gonna just be real. I think when it comes to people like Ben Crump and these guys, they're in it for the media attention. I think they do want to make a difference, but the way media works, you got to have this perfect victim. And so even when it comes to that baby Cohen, I don't hear his name included in that press conference. Even if things were settled with that case, I would still think that in memory of a baby that lost their life, I would still think you would mention their name. You know what I mean? And to not mention it, to me, I just feel like it's really about what gets our message out the most, and that's going to be a high profile case. If the case is not keeping its own momentum and the people don't seem to be into it the way I want them to be into it, it seems to me that Ben Crump is willing to abandon it. I think that's what's going on with the Trey Reed thing. I think so much evidence came out alluding that Trey Reed most likely may have taken his own life, and they just abandoned it and just picked up and left. Is what I think it is. Sanatobia and the death of Nolan Wells on Horn Island. In both of these cases, Crump also pursued independent autopsies, announcing the preliminary results for each within weeks. So it's been extremely difficult, and it also feels like we got pushed to the side once another big case came. And I don't think that's a matter of feeling. I think that's just what happened. And that is really unfortunate, Shauna said. We just want the truth, whatever that looks like, and we're not trying to cause any trouble or division. We just want answers so we can properly grieve as a family. Okay. Candy Tillman last heard from McCoy's office over a month ago, but did not receive the autopsy and has heard nothing since, she said. On July 30th, after repeated attempts from the Mississippi Free Press to contact Trump's team, Candy said she was also able to reach the liaison, who promised the dates in the coming weeks. For the families, the reason for withholding the final results of the independent autopsy is unimportant. The long silence has left them with an open wound, the last measure of effort to investigate the death of a son, a grandson, a cousin. Remarkably, the Tillman said their understanding is that the final determination from the Cleveland Police Department is also awaiting the secondary autopsy, perhaps the last remaining piece needed to close the case. The Cleveland Police Department did not respond to a request for an interview on the subject. Okay. Right here it says no response from Crump team. The Mississippi Free Press has repeatedly reached out to all parties involved in the secondary autopsy of Trey Reed. This reporter first contacted the law offices of Ben Crump via email in October 2025, April 2026, and July 2026. The Mississippi Free Press also made phone calls to Crump's office directly, requesting any possible information in the second autopsy of Trey Reed on behalf of the family, and contacted Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative in May, June, and July of this year with the same request. Neither party responded to any of the attempted inquiries. Kind of interesting for a guy that says, if it were my child, I would want transparency. Makes sense because, Trey Reed is not his child. So I guess he don't care about transparency in this case. All righty then. Earlier this week, the Mississippi Free Press was able to speak with a representative from the office of Dr. Matthias Okoye, the independent forensic pathologist who personally performed the second autopsy. The conversation was short. The representative first declined to connect the Mississippi Free Press with Okoye for an interview. When this reporter offered to connect the family of Trey Reed directly with Okoye's office without any need for an interview, the representative declined again, suggesting the family should reach out to their legal representation. When informed that the family could not reach their legal representation, the representative said they should speak with the corporation which handles these second autopsies. When asked if he was referring to Kaepernick's autopsy initiative, the representative ended the call without answering. I don't know. It's weird when you dealing with the police, right? And here comes somebody like Ben Crump, right? Ben Crump and his team, they come in the office and like, yeah, you can't trust the police. We your people. We got you. And then they turn around and do you worse than the people they claim they protecting you from. Like, that's insane to me. Like, I don't get that. That's sad. Even the whole, and I don't know if Colin Kaepernick works close with this or if his name is just on this, but this is sad and this is uncalled for. I mean, if the autopsy report says what it says, give it to the family, let them move on with their lives. Like, seriously, like, it's ridiculous that they're being this way with this family. Either way it goes, I want to know. No matter the outcome of the investigation, Candy Tillman mourns the loss of her grandson every day. She remembers both his humility and his humor. A quiet, intelligent young man, wickedly funny and sweet in equal measure. He had called me earlier that day around 6 p.m. We just had a good conversation. He was in a good mood, Candy said. Speaking of the day Trey Reed passed, he was saying, well, I got to write a paper. I'd written the paper, but they sent it back because I used a little AI. And we laughed. And I was like, you can't do that. We laughed about that. I was telling him that his sister was coming to spend the weekend with me that following weekend. He said, well, I'm going to come home and we all going to stay at your house. I said, that was fine. And he said, Grandma. And I said, yeah, Trey. He said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And we hung up. Oh man, that's sad, man. I hope that family they'll be okay.
And now to news developing out of Mississippi, where a coroner's office is maintaining that there is no evidence a young black man was attacked before he was found dead on the Delta State University campus.
Now, Trey Reed's family is ordering an independent autopsy. Now, a warning, some of you may find this story triggering. The 21-year-old was found hanging from a tree on campus Monday morning. The coroner says a preliminary exam shows no signs of broken bones or assault. But Reed's mother told local reporters that she questions what happened to her son. She says she spoke to her son Friday and he was excited to attend the university. The family says the school has not reached out to them and they're getting information secondhand from the media.
As we move forward, we're just looking for answers that a simple camera on the university's campus will answer.
We are so concerned about what's going on. We're getting mixed information. We're hearing everything on the media. So we just want the truth. That's all we're looking for.
Reed was a first-year student and had only been on campus for 1 month when he was found dead. Authorities initially ruling this a suicide. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is leading an investigation into Reed's death, though. He says Trey Reed was deeply loved and respected by those who knew him, and added Reed's family and the campus community deserve a full independent investigation to uncover the truth about what happened. We cannot accept vague conclusions when so many questions remain. The NAACP posted an image saying a man was lynched yesterday in a post about Trey Reed. The organization expressed skepticism that there was no evidence of foul play in Reed's death and wrote, "Our people have not historically hung ourselves from trees."
Breaking news is first at 5 on your news leader. Autopsy results are now in for the Delta State University student who was found dead on campus earlier this week. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Skurlock.
And I'm Greg Hurst. The Cleveland, Mississippi Police Department says the autopsy confirms that sadly 21-year-old Trey Reed died by suicide. Reed's body was found early Monday morning hanging from a tree on the Delta State campus. Cleveland police say the case remains an active investigation and they're still waiting on the final toxicology report, which could take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. In the meantime, investigators have turned over all case files to the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for review. Our Mike Sirianni was in Reed's hometown of Grenada, Mississippi today, and he'll have more on this story tonight on News Channel 3 at 6.
Shows there was no foul play in the death of the young black. Autopsy shows there was no foul play in the death of the young black.
Why is it freezing up like that? Come on.
Autopsy shows there was no foul play in the death of the young black.
What the hell?
Autopsy shows there was no foul play in the death of the young black.
Ugh. I don't know why that's acting like that. Anyway.
New at 4, a second independent autopsy will be performed for a Delta State University student. Trey Reed was found hanging from a tree on the campus earlier this week. While Mississippi's medical examiner ruled Reed's death a suicide yesterday, attorney Ben Crump says another autopsy will be performed. That will be paid for by Colin Kaepernick, his Know Your Rights Camp Autopsy Initiative. Reed's family is looking for more answers. Final toxicology reports could take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. New at 4, a second independent autopsy will be performed for a Delta.
I don't know. Is he a grifter or is he not? In this Trey Reed situation, I'm sorry, Ben Crump. You're looking mighty grifty. It's looking like it's looking like you saw where, hey, you couldn't make no money off of this situation and you bounced. That's what it looks like. I think that in the beginning, like him putting a liaison with that family that was of really no use to them, I think he had his suspicions in the beginning, even though he didn't mind painting the narrative that this young man was a victim of racist Mississippi. I think he had a doubt in his mind. And I think some of those evidence, the text messages, witness statements, I think in the back of his mind, he kind of doubted that this was one of those cases that he could turn into a high profile racial, case. And I think once he confirmed that, he bounced, left the family high and dry. But the part about me is I think it seems cruel though. You know, perhaps Trey Reed may have unalived himself. Cool. But why would you just leave the family high and dry like that? You wouldn't contact them for like 7 months, is what they claiming. And according to the news article we read, they're saying they reached out to you and your team and they can't get in touch with you. They reached out to Colin Kaepernick's organization and couldn't really get in touch with nobody. They spoke with one person that refused to push them through to somebody that could give them an interview and let them know and make this make sense that, hey, if if this was an accident, if somebody dropped the ball, would you like to at least put out a statement, perhaps apologizing to the family and saying, hey, we have someone coming to you right now, right away, to give you the second autopsy results of your son so that you can close this wound, move on with your life, close the case, and hey, and be done with it. I don't know why you would drag out a family's pain. I just don't get it. I don't know why anybody would do that. Especially somebody that's constantly on. Well, I watch a lot of YouTube. They're constantly on my YouTube complaining about the police department, saying, "Oh, the police department is not transparent. They're withholding information, and we demand this information." You do? Well, you have a family here demanding information from you, and now you have and you got the public that demands information from you, and you take your sweet time giving it, apparently, unless it suits you. Ew. I wanted to go over the timeline, and then I'll probably finish up with some of Ben Crump's latest press conference. So this is the timeline of Trey Reed's hanging death at Delta State University. That I want to say too, man, that last conversation that he was having with his grandma was pretty sad, man. I've heard people speak of that when they have loved ones that have taken their life. They always say like, man, I had a great conversation with them. And that's really a part of why they can't believe that this person would take their life. Because as far as they're concerned, they're like, the last time I spoke to them, I had a great conversation with this person. What do you mean they took their life? And we in Mississippi, Mississippi history. I just had a great conversation with my grandbaby. Why would he do this to himself? So it's natural for a family to think that, I just don't like that you have people like lawyers and these other people that civil rights attorneys that only show, they show up when it benefits them. They come into these people's lives and just take advantage of their pain and their mourning and their suffering and whatever trauma that they any trauma, that is, happened to them, man. They just take advantage of these people. It's like really, it's ridiculous. All right. Where is my thing? Also, man, I appreciate you if you've been in here rocking with me. Don't forget to like and All right, so timeline Trey Reed's hanging death at Delta State. Delta State University student Trey Reed's death on the Cleveland, Mississippi campus has drawn national attention and stirred a cascade of rumors on social media since a group of football players found him hanging from a tree on campus in mid-September 2025. Following is a timeline of the known events and facts with links to relevant stories and documents. We will update it as more information becomes available. The timeline was last updated on July 30th, 2026. And I remember this case like when it was, first out and stuff, it was before Nolan Wells and everything. Because the way they was pushing it on the internet, it was like they really had evidence and stuff. And I was like, my goodness, man, you mean to tell me that somebody in the year 2026 got lynched? Like that's how they was pushing it. And then the case, it just kind of faded away. So it says here on Sunday, September the 14th in 2025, Trey Reed's girlfriend receives concerning texts. Trey Reed's girlfriend receives text messages from his phone in which he threatens to hang himself. His family will later tell the Mississippi Free Press. Boom. The next day, on Monday, September the 15th, 2025, at 7:05 a.m. Can I zoom in more? Let me see. Can I? How much can I zoom in? All right. All right. So the next day on Monday, September the 15th, 2025 at 7:05 a.m., Trey Reed's body was found. Delta State University campus police are notified after a group of DSU football players on a morning run find the body of a young black man hanging in a tree near the pickleball courts. Police identified him as a 21-year-old DeMartravion Trey Reed, a freshman who had only just started college. Reed's death immediately sparked rumors of potential lynching, owing to Mississippi's history of racist lynching black men and hanging them in trees. All right, so September 15, 2025. So he's found around 7:05 a.m. on September 15th, and at 9:15 a.m. September the 15th, 2025, family gets notified about 50 miles east of DSU, Grenada. County Sheriff's Department Chief Deputy Ricky Williamson and investigator Sonia Willis notified Reed's grandparents, whom he listed as next of kin of his death. So also that day, September the 15th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m., hanging death in Vicksburg sparks rumors of connection. So you have this other guy, Corey Zukatis, a homeless white man is found hanging in a tree about 100 miles away in Vicksburg, Mississippi. Rumors soon spread online about a connection between the two deaths, including rumors falsely identifying Zukatis as a black man. Vicksburg police say there's no connection. Zukatis' death will later be ruled a suicide. And, it still makes me think something is in the water because Mississippi, has these, hanging deaths that keep happening, and it's like nobody's gonna address this. Like, and they just label them like, oh, they unalived themselves. They unalived themselves. And it's like, because now there's a recent story with a black girl, same thing, found hanging in a tree. And it's like, why is this a thing in Mississippi? Like, what's going on? Or does it happen everywhere else? And this goes back to like this thing where I'm saying, like, is Ben Crump a race baiter? Is the media trying to race bait us all? Or right? Because are there other hanging deaths other places and y'all only want to highlight it in Mississippi? Because it's either something in the water in Mississippi or y'all playing games where y'all only choosing to highlight hanging deaths when it happened in Mississippi. So it makes it look like, oh, Mississippi got all these hangings in it. I don't know. So also on September the 15th, 2025, this is at 2 p.m., DSU campus police chief, no evidence of foul play. So during the afternoon press conference, DSU police chief Mike Pillar says there's no evidence of foul play in Trey Reed's death. So the person who presented it, DSU police chief Mike Pillar, black man. Coroner office. So late in the afternoon, same day, September 15th, 2025. This is according to the Mississippi Free Press timeline. Coroner's office rebuffs rumors of broken limbs. So I'm trying to remember, but this like, mind you, just a year ago when this got famous. It was so many rumors online about how his body was found. Like, people saying a lot of crazy stuff. Like, they was really driving home and selling the whole, this was racist. They was like, the Klan got him. They was saying a bunch of stuff. So the coroner's office rebuffs rumors of broken limbs. In an interview with the Mississippi Free Press, Bolivar County Deputy Coroner Murray O'Rourke says he saw no broken limbs on Reed's body despite social media rumors, and that his opinion is that it was self-done. He declines to elaborate further. Later, Bolivar County Coroner Rudolph Seals, pictured, says the deceased did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault, and that there is no evidence to suggest the individual was physically attacked before his death. So it says Rudolph Seals pictured. So when it says Rudolph Seals pictured, I'm guessing that's what they mean. Rudolph Seals, I guess, is that guy pictured. And this is weird because that guy kind of looks like that guy. Unless, I don't know. But, it does tell you a lot because, like, when you see these things on social media and people are spreading these rumors, the way they painted the picture was that you had this black kid hanging and nothing but white people were investigating his death, and they just marked it down as self-inflicted, but then when you see that, well, no, they did investigate, they did do an autopsy. His case was handled by his own people, his own kind, if people want to go the racial way, right? So it's different when you get to see the people that are speaking and saying, well, I did look at his body, Tuesday, September the 16th, 2025, in that afternoon, Trey Reed's family calls for independent autopsy before the state of Mississippi completes its autopsy on Trey Reed's body. Vanessa Jones, an attorney for his family from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, says the family will seek an independent autopsy. According to her, Reed's grandparents said the Grenada County Sheriff's Department initially told the family that he was found dead in his dorm. The officers who believed the news of Reed's death will dispute that in an interview with the Mississippi Free Press the next day. So, according to her, Reed's grandparents said the Grenada County Sheriff's Department initially told the family. The officers who delivered the news of Reed's death will dispute that. So the grandparents saying, oh, they said they found him dead in his dorm, and the officers who delivered saying that, we didn't say that. So September 16th, 2025, late in the afternoon. So we went from the 15th, late afternoon, coroner comes out. First on the 15th, the Bolivian County Deputy Coroner Murray Rourke says he saw no broken limbs or anything to the body that would suggest somebody did something to it. Bolivia County Coroner Rudolph Seals comes right behind him and says the same thing. All right. And then the family says, hey, we want an independent autopsy. Saying, I guess the family was saying some of the information they was getting wasn't adding up. 1 minute he's found hanging, and then next, and then they're saying, but then they have deputies that are telling them that their grandson was found, in their dorm room. So they are now, they're questioning the investigation, which is okay, which is not a black thing, white thing, or anything. Many people don't trust their police department and want a second pair of eyes on the case. Very normal. Especially when it's deaths like these that that are mysterious in nature. September the 16th of 2025, late in the afternoon, family retained civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Nationally renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump announces that Trey Reed's family has retained him to work with civil rights organizations to conduct an independent investigation. September the 16th, 2025, late afternoon, Congressman calls for federal investigation. U.S. House Representative Benny Thompson, whose district includes Grenada and Bolivar counties, calls for a federal investigation into Trey Reed's deaths. And those are the two counties with the two coroners that said they saw no lacerations or broken bones on Trey Reed's body and felt that it was self-inflicted. While the details of this case are still emerging, we cannot ignore Mississippi's painful history of lynching and racial violence against African Americans, he says. So Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. This is in the morning. DSU campus police chief, no evidence of foul play. At a press conference, DSU chief police Mike Pillar says that Trey Reed's body has been delivered to the Mississippi State Medical Examiner for a full autopsy. He adds that there are videos relevant to Reed's death, but declines to provide specifics. He says the Cleveland Police Department is now leading the investigation. All right. I'm just trying to see. Oh, okay. My bad, y'all. I got a age restriction on this video. It's cool. Thursday, September the 18th, 2025, in the afternoon, autopsy finds Trey Reed's death a suicide. Cleveland Chief of Police Travis Tribble announces the results of the autopsy on Trey Reed on September 17, 2025. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner's Office conducted an autopsy. Findings were consistent with the initial investigation, determining the cause of death to be hanging and the manner of death as suicide. Final toxicology results are pending and may take 2 to 4 weeks to complete. Friday, September the 19th, 2025, Kaepernick.org to fund private autopsy. Ben Crump's law firm says that Colin Kaepernick's nonprofit Know Your Rights Camp's autopsy initiative will pay for the second autopsy on Trey Reed's body. Trey's death evoked the collective memory of a community that has suffered a historic wound over many, many years and many, many deaths, Crump says. Peace will come only by getting the truth. All right. So here we go. Saturday, September the 27th, 2025, Trey Reed's funeral. After Dr. Matthias Akoi of Nebraska completes his inspection of Trey Reed's body as part of the independent autopsy, the 21-year-old family holds his funeral in Grenada, Mississippi, I guess. That's how it's pronounced. Akoi is a former Washington, D.C. medical examiner with a controversial past. Huh? Why did they say that? Man, let me check. Let me see something. Let's see. Hold on. So Bali told the court she supported the autopsy. When I click on that link, it took me to this history of incompetence. Carissa Bali rejects pathologist chosen to conduct husband's autopsy. It says the wife of a Belhaven man found dead in the Pearl River back in April continues to question the qualifications of the pathologist chosen to conduct the autopsy, saying the person chosen should be competent. This week, Carissa Bali responded to an emergency petition asking Hinds County Charcy Judge Dwayne Thomas to allow an independent autopsy of Dwayne Mabil to move forward. An attorney for Bull Mabil, Dow's brother, filed a petition after Bali rejected his decision to use Dr. Matthias Akoi to conduct the autopsy, saying he was not qualified to do the job. While it's true that the court ordered that Mabil shall direct and pay for the independent autopsy, the court did so with the qualifications that the person conducting said autopsy be competent. Bali wrote he instead insists on one pathologist with a clear history of incompetence. So I guess that's him tied to some to another case. I guess that's what they meant. But I'm not prepared to search and find that. So like I said, September 27th on a Saturday, 2025, Trey Reed's funeral. After Dr. Matthias Akoi of Nebraska completes his inspection of Trey Reed's body as part of the independent autopsy, the 21-year-old family holds his funeral in Grenada, Mississippi. Akoi is a former Washington, D.C. medical examiner with a controversial past, which is weird as to why Ben Crump's team didn't see that and decided to go with somebody else. I don't know. It seems like this is one of them things where everybody kind of like just dropped the ball and they said, look, we'll just ghost these people and hopefully they'll forget about us. And you just smooth walk away or something. I don't know. Now this is October 2025. Family receives some preliminary results. So Dr. Matthias Akoi shares some preliminary findings from his independent autopsy with the family on a Zoom call, citing an injury on Reed's neck. He says he cannot determine the cause of it without examining the belt Reed was found hanging with. The family will later tell the Mississippi Free Press. He says he is not yet able to make a final determination about the cause and manner of death. Okay. So they had this preliminary meeting. He says, hey, I got to get some more things before I give you my final results. And so the family, they had been sitting around waiting for these results. And during that time, they're saying Ben Crump, his team, ghosted them, ignored them. Thursday, October the 2nd, 2025, podcast spurs new rumors. So after new Black Panther Party chair Crystal Muhammad shares unverified claims about the second autopsy's findings on the podcast, Ben Crump's legal team tells the Clarion Ledger that the independent autopsy is not final and no details will be released until it is. Monday, October the 6th, 2025. MFP fact check rumors. As rumors swirl on TikTok, X, Facebook, and other social media platforms that the second autopsy uncovered evidence of foul play, the Mississippi Free Press publishes a fact check noting that the autopsy results still have not been finalized. It's really unfair when people do things like that because it doesn't help the family. It doesn't help anyone when people do things like that. Oh man, what's up to my brother, man? What up, Marcus, man? How you doing, bro? I ain't seen you in a while. I know, bro. I haven't been on YouTube in a little minute. I think I was. Well, 2 weeks ago. I ain't been that long, but 2 weeks is a long time to me. It's my brother, Mr. Marcus himself. Hope you blessed, my brother. But yeah, man, I don't like when people, that's the dangerous thing. Like, the internet is good and bad. All right, you said you're doing good. That's good to hear, man, brother. Man, I'll be doing blessed, man. I missed you, man. You and Prince, man. It's been a minute since we all chopped it up. But that's it's a good thing with the internet because we can kind of share information with each other and get to the truth. But it's also a bad thing because people spread lies. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Man, I've been doing good, man. I really, really have. I've been doing good. I took took a little vacation and stuff, man, and just honestly just been chilling. I tried to kick up some dust over on TikTok. I'll be honest about that. Try to kick up some dust over there on TikTok. But I'm here back on YouTube. All right. So January the 1st, 2026, last contact with Ben Crump family says so. Trey Reed's family says this is the last time any of them hear from attorney Ben Crump or his office. They said it's the last time we hear from him. January 1st, so beginning of the year. Oh man, you said you on TikTok now. Let me see. Yeah, you gotta send me your TikTok, man. If you don't want to put it in here, I don't know how y'all be doing it. Putting it in like the private messages. If you can do it that way. All right, so January 1st, 2026, that's the last time of contact. That's the last time they saying they're having contact with Ben Crump. That's what his family is saying. And Mr. Marcus, okay, I see it, bro. Let me see. I'm gonna search it and do it right now. All right, I got you. I just followed you. And I sent you a message request. All right. Okay, so January, last time they have contact with Ben Crump, when it comes to this, that family member Trey Reed, involved they're trying to get the second autopsy results. Then April 2nd comes 2026. It's a statement from the Tillman Reed family. What did I do? I can't even read that. Let me zoom in. All right. Statement from the Tillman Reed family. Our family. There we go. Our family continues to grieve the heartbreaking loss of our beloved Trey Reed, a young man who meant so much to us and to so many others. Since Trey's passing, we have been waiting for answers, specifically the results of the independent autopsy that we were told will help bring clarity. To this day, we have not received an official update. This lack of communication has only deepened our pain and confusion. We're concerned that our legal representation has been silent during the time when we need transparency, advocacy, and guidance the most. We want to be clear. Our family is not seeking speculation or misinformation. We're seeking the truth. We deserve honesty. We deserve accountability. And most importantly, we deserve the ability to grieve Trey fully and properly with clarity, not unanswered questions. Trey was loved, Trey mattered, and his life deserves the dignity of truth. We ask for continued prayers, respect, and space as we navigate this incredibly difficult time, but we will not stop advocating until we have the answers our family deserves. The Tillman Reed family. All right. So, so Tillman and Reed's family released statement. The Tillman and Reed's family state publicly for the first time that they've not received any official update about the independent autopsy and that their legal representation has been silent during the time when we need transparency. So July 30th, 2026. Mississippi Free Press investigative reporter Nick Juden reports on the Reed and Tillman family's contention that their legal representation has gone silent on them. The story also reports for the first time on the suicidal text messages that Reed's girlfriend received the night before his body was found. And that is the end of the timeline. Yep. What's up, Helen? You say justice for Nolan Wells. That's what's up. I'm still going through the whole Nolan Wells thing. I'm not sure what happened. I don't know. I don't know if we would ever know. Judging from the autopsies, man, it's so unfortunate and sad. In situations like that, when they come back like, oh, it's undetermined, we don't know, we're not sure, and it's kind of like, oh man, when I hear those words, I'm like, oh, are we ever gonna know what's happened? You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I think Let me see. I closed that out. I already read and went over this. So, because I was talking about is Ben Crump a race beta? I don't know. If he is, whatever. You know, it's kind of like a person that's they're like necessary people that you know they rile up people. What are you gonna do? You can't really get rid of them.
Never. Thank you, Mr. Mario. Again, I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Eric Hertz. We are here fighting for the family with other great lawyers, for Nolan Wells. We also have present with us the family of Daniel Irvin, who many are just about outside of Dallas, Texas, his tragedy. We have Attorney Sean DeRaya and Attorney Brooke Cluse fighting to help that family get justice. And we want to applaud his mother, Tamika, who has been fighting as only a mother would fight, with not many people in the world listening. But
All right, so that's a press conference that he's doing. I was pointing out earlier how people were saying that it was unusual for him to be doing a press conference and he was saying everybody else's name. And while he's saying everybody else's name, people like, wait a minute, why you ain't said? They was like, why you saying everybody else's name and justice for this person and justice for that person, but you are no longer saying Trey Reed's name. And it kind of goes to what the family was saying when they were saying that he ghosted them and like cut ties. I'm trying to bring up these other cases because I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of these other names they say, I don't remember the cases, to be honest with you. Hold on. So it's Daniel Irving. Come on. And then what's the other one? Tyler Smith. It's so much going on. I promise you, and I apologize. I didn't. Where's the? Are you saying who is he? The other guy, the other two cases, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. He has so many cases that he's doing. Like this one says
justice for Daniel Irvin.
Justice for Daniel Irvin. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump wants a grand jury to review the death of Daniel Irving.
Send it to a grand jury. The case, argue zealously, just as if it was your child.
Crump has joined the Irving family's legal team 3 months after the 18-year-old drowned at Lake Ray Hubbard. Police have charged 19-year-old Lucas Roper and a 16-year-old with tampering with physical evidence. An arrest warrant alleges Daniel's clothes and cell phone were discarded and that Roper deleted communications with Daniel. Neither teen has been charged with causing his death. The family also released surveillance video and says it shows Daniel getting into a car with the 2 teens. Daniel's mother became alarmed when his phone went dark.
I said it's just suspicious. He's not answering his texts. He's not answering his phone.
The medical examiner ruled Irving's death here an accidental drowning. But Crump says the discarded cell phone and clothing and the deleted messages between Roper and Irving warrant a deeper review.
I think the prosecutor can make the case if they have the will to make the case.
The DA's office says it doesn't comment on pending cases. In Dallas, I'm Luke Clary.
Justice for...
That's Daniel Irving. I looked up the Tyler Smith. I guess I'll click on this one.
Tyler Smith lost his life in a shooting in the early morning hours. He was a recent Lafayette High School graduate and just signed up for college. He was planning on studying robotics. Police ruled it an accidental self-inflicted gunshot wound. His family said he showed zero sign of depression or self-unaliving tendencies. One of his friends, 20-year-old Bryce Chestnut, was arrested, not for homicide, but for tampering with evidence, just like in the Daniel Irving's case. Tampering, not homicide. Bond posted and walked free. But check this out. You probably never even heard of Tyler Smith until right now. Nolan Wells went viral. Daniel Irving went viral. Tyler Smith did not. So here's the question. If it takes going viral to get justice, maybe someone can tell us why in 2 separate cases friends are tampering with evidence that they had nothing to do with creating.
The holiday weekend turned tragic for a Lexington family.
Our Natalie Alicia talked to Tyler Smith's loved ones about how they want.
Yes, so I wasn't alone. Just like the guy said, you probably never heard of it. And I didn't. And I get what he's trying to say, but yeah, you do have to go viral to make change happen. The more of us know about something, the more people get behind it and support it and call it out. Yeah, that's how change happens. You gotta let people know because which I don't know these cases very well, but if there is a situation where people of power, people in high positions, if they can sneak and get away with something, bet your ass they will do just that.
Want him to be remembered. It is our top story at 5:30.
I don't know why this thing is acting like that. Yeah, this is getting on my nerves, yeah. Getting on my nerves, y'all. Let me see if I can find an actual news story. Oh, I think this is the one.
The holiday weekend turned tragic for a Lexington family.
Our Natalie Alicia talked to Tyler Smith's loved ones about how they want him to be remembered. It is our top story at 5:30.
Always a very positive kid, always able to see the upside of things. Family was everything to Tyler.
Family members say the recent Lafayette High School graduate was the kind of person who could light up any room, known for his kindness and the way he made everyone feel welcome. Whether he was working at Kroger or spending time with lifelong friends, they say Tyler always put others first.
Had goals, had dreams, had aspirations, He had just signed up to attend BCTC College, looking to acquire a degree in robotics.
Family says Tyler had big dreams and was preparing to begin the next chapter of his life after graduation. Now, instead of celebrating that future, they are mourning an unimaginable loss. A GoFundMe has already raised thousands of dollars to help Tyler's mother with funeral expenses. The family says the outpouring of community support has been overwhelming, but alongside that support comes unanswered questions.
Tyler could have been your son. Tyler could have been your grandson. Tyler could have been your brother. Would you want them to go unspoken of, unviewed, undiscussed?
I've talked extensively with the Smith family, and they are telling me that they believe many parts of this investigation have been either swept under the rug or done incorrectly.
I want people held accountable. I want people to know my boy meant something. Nothing will ever stop me until justice is served.
Tyler's family tells WKYT they have begun looking for information on their own in hopes of finding clarity. WKYT reached out to Lexington Police for details. In a statement sent to us on Tuesday, officers say the investigation into the shooting was ongoing, but they did not anticipate criminal charges. Tyler's loved ones said they hope this situation becomes a reminder of the importance of gun safety, responsible decisions, and looking out for one another. They say if sharing Tyler's story encourages even one conversation that saves a life, then part of his legacy will continue.
It is not a toy. If you have this to protect yourself, it shouldn't be out at a cookout, a hangout. We are not saying that you cannot protect yourself, but you all need to think.
In Lexington, Natalie Alicia.
Okay, so those are the two cases. Now the Daniel Irving one, when I looked at that one, it jogged my memory. I was like, okay, I think I remember hearing about that one. The other one, this other one, the Tyler Smith, I don't remember this one at all. So it seems like he's attaching these two cases to the Nolan Wells case and, just giving it more momentum. I don't know I don't know if that's a race baity thing to do. I think it's just a smart thing to do because you want to bring attention to everyone and create change for what what you're fighting against. All right. But once again, like I was saying, Ben Crump has the press conference. Nolan Wells family, Daniel Irvin, Tyler Smith, no mention of the Trey Reed. His family says, well, hey, he ghosted us and won't give us the final results to the second, independent autopsy.
Justice, and we want to apply his mother, Tamika, who has been fighting as only a mother would fight, with not many people in the world listening. But we're listening today, Tamika. You are not alone, Tamika. You got Nolan's mother and father, Christine and Elmore Wansley, who are standing with you as well. Tamika, your daughter is here. You are not alone. Y'all, please let her know she is not alone. Justice for Daniel Irvin. Justice.
And can you imagine how much that would piss Trey Reed's family off? And they saying that this guy and his team done damn abandoned them and ain't talking to them. And you up here talking about another family and nobody listening to them and let them know you not alone. Trey Reed family, like, come let her know we not alone. Like, what? They probably steaming. You probably pour water on them and it just evaporate listening to this. You know what I mean? Like, but without full evidence, I'm not trying to just outright accuse Ben Crump, but like seriously, guy, please go talk to that family and give us some answers.
Attorney Harry Daniels, we also have the family of Tyler Smith, Lexington, Kentucky. You're going to hear from all these families. You're going to hear from Tyler's mother and especially his grandmother. Until the lawyers get there, till the community advocates get there, a lot of times these families are just by themselves, President Mariel. And thank God for this mother and this praying grandmother who refused to let them sweep the death of her grandbaby under the rug. And so I will say briefly about each of these tragedies. Obviously, many of you know about Nolan Wells, and you'll hear from his mother and father after brief remarks by Attorney Hertz and Attorney Park. But we all know July 4th, Nolan Wells goes with friends, celebrating 4th of July. All the friends come back. Nolan Wells tragically washes up on the shore 2 days later, dead.
And speaking of Nolan Wells, you notice when he got that second autopsy report, Ben Crump went straight to a press conference. He didn't do that with Trey Reed because Trey Reed, they did have text messages of Trey Reed sending his girlfriend that he was thinking about hurting himself. Who knows what he was going through in his life, or right? But I don't think he got the results he wanted from Trey Reed's secondary autopsy report. And I think he just abandoned that family because I think there's big money in this where he can do, mind you, he could be a race beta and be making money off of this. And because two things can be true at one time and still at the same time be providing a good service to a family in need. And I just think Trey Reed's family didn't no longer serve that purpose. And I just thought I'm like, hold on, with Nolan Wells and that second independent autopsy, because that's the main thing they always do. You always want to get an independent autopsy. As soon as he got it, he was quick. He had to come show us the results. It was the same thing when he first got the report from the baby Cohen. Remember the mother and the father, they were shoplifting at Walmart. They took some diapers. They trying to get away from the police. The car is moving. The police say, hey, the car was moving towards them. They shoot into the car. The bullet hits baby Cohen. The child passes away. He gets his findings, his pictures of, he gets his first preliminary findings. He was quick to run to the media and show that off as well. I don't know if that case went the way he wanted it to go. Because I don't see where he mentioned that as well. I would think he would include them in this as well, even if that case is finalized. I just think that if a case doesn't serve his purpose, I think he abandons it. Marcus says he doesn't believe what's coming out of his mouth. I don't believe that crap that's coming out of his mouth. I think he is a race beta, but I think he does. I think he serves a great purpose. If a family needs help, they need help. I get it, but I do think he's a race beta. Let's see. Hyena Queen says they wasn't shoplifting. That's not true. You don't think they said they were stealing diapers? Now, mind you, Hyena, I don't care if they were stealing diapers. I don't think you shoot into a car with a baby in the back seat, period. I wouldn't care if they robbed the bank. What if they was what if somebody holding somebody hostage? You don't shoot in the car. You can hit anybody. You know, so I'm just saying the story that they was going along with family, they said, oh, they was taking diapers. Ben Crump in his press conference, he said out his own mouth, you can't shoot at them just because they was taking diapers. What do it matter? They were still in diapers. So you know that's what I'm going by. Haney. That was they lawyer, and he said they were still in diapers. What up, Steven? I just put his Ben Crump a race baiter, you know, and I was just going over to Trey Reed. Trey Reed's family is, you know, upset because they're saying that Ben Crump and his legal team is no longer speaking with them. He was working with them. They had an initial autopsy report that said that Trey Reed's the guy who was found in Mississippi hanging from a tree. The first autopsy said there was no foul play. So Ben Crump became their lawyer and said, hey, we're going to have our own independent autopsy. Colin Kaepernick, his organization, took care of that for the family. When the second autopsy happened, they had the first preliminary findings. The guy who what's his name, Matthias something, he said in that preliminary meeting, they only had one meeting, and he said, well, hey, look, so far I can't tell if he did this to himself or somebody did that to him. I still need the belt that he hung himself with so I can finish my report. The family was waiting for him to finish that report, and they said that after January the 1st, they didn't hear anything else from Crump or his team or that medical examiner, and they just been in limbo for all those months, for 7 months, they saying, not hearing nothing from Ben Crump. And I feel like they did not fit into his race baiting agenda, and he just ghosted them and abandoned them. That's what I think. I don't think they no longer, the storyline that he had for that family, I think no longer fit his purpose. And I agree, Haina, he's a lawyer. He's doing his job. Various Quest says Crump is very willing to allow this to be fought on TikTok. Of course, he loves this. Public opinion can become politicized. Here, everything is speculation. Oh, yeah. That's what I think it is. I think, you know, he just gets the that's how he gets the money. That's how he gets the money. That's how he gets the money. LaShonda Maddox says, what high profile case has he won after taking on? I think they say he was involved with George Floyd. He got some money, he got the family, what, 27 million for George Floyd? Yeah. Ben Crump, yeah, he a big deal in them circles. What exactly is Ben supposed to do about TikTok? Come on now. I don't know. I don't think yeah, he's won cases, high profile cases. George Floyd, one of them, 27 million. Oh, Haina's saying, why nobody called Ben a race baiter when he represented white people? I don't know. I didn't know he represented white people. And to be honest, Haina Queen, a lot of us probably didn't know he represented white people. I didn't know. I didn't know. I'll be honest with you.
And so we know all the current events that have been happening. We are announcing that we have the audio from the officials, and we have retained and are consulting with some of the foremost audio engineering experts to review those audio tapes from the CETO call in its entirety. We also, and Attorney Hertz may go into greater detail.
Exactly, Marcus. I didn't know either. I didn't know he represented white people either. And don't get this twisted. I think he's a race baiter for sure. But I still like Crump. I just like his personality. I like the way he speaks. I think he's a great orator. Um, I do. I still like him. I still think he has an agenda, and I don't. You know, I do. I think he does. I think he's needed. If you're a family and you want attention on your case, because everybody has a right to that. Like this ain't no black or white thing or anything. Like this is like all I watch is true crime. And let me tell you something. I've seen so many families do this. If you are not satisfied with the police, the autopsy, the medical examiner, any of them, you got every right to get out there, talk your shit, and bring attention to your family. Even if you're wrong. I'd rather be wrong than to let you think you can do whatever half-ass investigation you think you're gonna do. So I don't have a problem with it. Families do that all the time, man. I done seen some of these other families. They can't get in touch with the detective working their case. You know what they do? They get right in touch. They get in touch with the news people, call them down there, do a press conference. Detectives at the office don't even know that the family about to do that, man. But people do what they got to do to bring attention. I think he's somebody, he gets attention on a case. Sometimes, and but the reason we're here is because of the Trey Reed case. I just think that case, the boy actually might have just, taken his own life. And I think that because Crump gave them a liaison, and whoever that person was, they should have let that family down easily instead of just walking away and ghosting them. Communication should have been better if they were going to terminate the relationship or, not work for that family anymore. They should have did it a better way. Hyena Queen says, that's very strange to call someone a race baiter for simply working civil rights cases. That does include race. Well, let me see. Because I looked it up because I wanted to be correct. Let's see. Oh, crap. My bad. It refreshed. All right. Race baiter. A person who deliberately uses racial issues, conflict, or stereotypes to provoke anger, fear, division, or emotional reactions, often to gain attention, influence political support, or financial benefit. Okay. So that's what you call a race baiter. Is something that a race hustler does. It's what people are when they call him a race baiter, what they're doing. They're not just saying, of course, you could use I'm a civil rights attorney. Cool. We get that. What would be a race baiter is always showing up, getting in front of the camera, and just everything has to be racial, like the Trey Reed thing, which is probably why he ghosted that family and walked away, because he's a black boy in Mississippi. You just put it out there in the media, somebody lynched him with no clear evidence of what happened. You see what I'm saying? So people just call him a race baiter and a race hustler because of that. In many ways, I think that's one of the arguments that Officer Tatum had, is that when they was first putting out the information on Nolan Wells, and I don't agree with everything that Officer Tatum says, but I had to admit he was correct on this one point. When they first put out the information about Nolan Wells, I thought it was the story about one black young man that went out on a boat with 4 white men, and he just came up missing and they don't know what happened to him. The way they told that story was not like he was on the island with a whole bunch of other people. You see what I'm saying? And so when people are first doing things like that, they're trying to hone in on that racial thing. Mississippi, black boy, 4 white kids, boat, body missing. And so it's a way that they do it, that they report stories and the way they deliver the message, especially the black people, that comes off a little bit of race baityish. It's like, let's see. Super says yes, Ben Crump is a race hustler. Shout out to Helen again with the justice for Nolan Wells. Hyena Queen says, yeah, that doesn't fit. He's literally a civil rights attorney. Yeah, I know he's a civil rights attorney, but he just comes off a little bit like a race hustler. He just does. You can be Goob says most blacks are race hustlers. No. Maybe use the race card a little bit too much. But I don't think I don't know. What's a race hustler? Yeah, no, they're not most of them. You might could say they use the race card, but not race hustlers though. Tatum literally lied in Ben saying he accused the white guys when he never did. I think he used like if somebody used suggestive language, that would come off like you're accusing me of something. If I use suggestive language with you, Hyena, you would say, oh, what, you trying to accuse me of something? So he used suggestive language for sure. You said no because Tatum lied. Lied about what? Tatum says a lot. You have to be specific when you say what he lied about. But he didn't lie when he says Ben Crump and those guys use suggestive language. Let's see. Auntie says he was not the only black person there either, but they'll ignore that. And that's what I was talking about, Auntie. When I was saying that the way they reported that article, as a black person with black ears that cares about his community, right? I for sure thought it was just a story of one black boy going out with like 3 to 4 white guys. They must have did something to him, because how did he go out with them on this boat in the middle of nowhere? And thought they, took care of him. I thought they tricked him out there or something, like baited him in, pretended like that they were his friend, and they just baited him out there, and then boom, he came up missing. That's how that story was coming across and being reported. And I remember listening to Ben Crump. He never clarified any of that for me when I was listening to him. So, I'm just being honest. 'Cause I don't feel like we have enough evidence to say what really happened, to be honest with you. I'm waiting for it. That's why it takes me so long to even do these news stories, man, because I hate being a person that jumps out there and just makes up stuff on people. But I can say that Ben Crump comes off as a race hustler, but I think that's how he makes his money. I think every group needs a race hustler in America. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think you need somebody to show up that's full of doubt, that doesn't trust the system, that says, hey, we're going to get a second pair of eyes on this. So I don't even think it's a diss to call him that. Helen says they just found another black female hanging so high in the tree they had to get a fire truck ladder to get her down. I heard about that one, and I am definitely going to look that up. And I'm going to see if that's really what they reported. Because, Helen, the way you typed that, everybody has typed I don't know if y'all on Threads, like Threads X, that same exact sentence, the way it's written out, is how everybody puts it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna have to read that for myself and see if that's like exactly how that happened, because sometimes like somebody will put that out there and we'll just they'll just run with it. You know, let's see. Heine says, how do you address a civil rights case where a black person's civil rights was violated without including race? No, you can't, Hyena. What they're saying is Ben Crump will come in and he'll use suggestive language, acting as if somebody's civil rights was violated when it wasn't. Even like, okay, for instance, Nolan Wells case. Is it a racial thing? We don't know. But people are making it racist. For instance, if let's just say one of those boys did do something to Nolan. Is it racist simply because they white? Because if you my homie and we get drunk and we get in a fight and you accidentally hurt me, you didn't do that because you were racist. You did that because we're young man, we're racist. We're young man, not we're racist. It's because we're young man, not because we're racist. We're young man, we're drinking, and we get into a fight. So it doesn't, who knows if it's racist or not? But it's being taken that way. It couldn't have been two races if he's a black kid in Mississippi. These supposed to be his friends. He's getting on boats with them, hanging out with them. They couldn't have been that racist. He felt that comfortable traveling over water with them. And I'm black. Black people don't just get in boats. So them white folk couldn't have been that racist. I'm just being real with you. We don't just get in boats. So Ben Crump being on the Nolan Wells thing, the fact that he is a civil rights attorney sends out a signal to black people. Hey, civil rights, black attorney, black boy died, Mississippi. He got white friends. Automatic. He's pushing the race card. And we have no clue if this is racial or not. They said Nolan Wells was with a girl. Well, hey, what if he was with a girl? Somebody got jealous. Two boys get in a fight over a girl. Is that racist? No, it's not. It's two young men fighting over a girl. It's not a racist. So that's all people are saying that they're pointing out is he immediately goes that this has to be racial without even knowing if it is or not. Let's see. Aunt says Al Sharp, the first red. Yeah, I don't trust Al Sharpton. If I see Al Sharpton there, I automatically don't take it seriously. Helen says Ben Crump never accused none of those white boys. He didn't outright accuse them, but he did use suggestive language to the point where one of them boys' families is talking about suing them. So somebody's definitely offended by the things he says. Hyena says saying exactly what happened is not an accusation. He just said exactly what happened. Yeah, but he said it in a suggestive way. He did. And he didn't include any context. And you can't say to black people who know the history of Mississippi, you just give context. I would have never thought that Nolan was out there with hundreds and hundreds of people. The way he told it was very suggestive. It led to another frame of thought. And he's intelligent enough to know how to do that. Let's see. Aunt says, Al, don't come back and set the record straight. Al, don't come back and set the record straight when cases have proven to not be a race case. He takes the money and runs. And that's another thing. And that's an important thing to point out. So after you have pushed the whole it was about race thing, do you tend to come back and say, hey, guys, we want to appreciate your support. We want to appreciate all those that donated money, all those that donated their time. Now, while this case was not racially motivated, we glad we got to the bottom of it. We got the truth. That's all we here to do. And move on. Don't sneak quietly out the back door. They never clear the cases up. And what's crazy is it'll be years that went by. People will still be arguing and bringing up cases where you're like, wait a minute, dude, that case ended up not being about race. They be like, huh? What? Like, yeah, man, you didn't see the that's the harm that's the harmful thing that race betas and race hustlers do. They don't clear things up after the fact. Hyena says, if it's not about race, why bring up race? This don't make any sense. Is race a factor or not? I didn't bring up race. I didn't hire Ben Crump. Nona Wells' family hired Ben Crump. I didn't bring race up. I'm just looking at videos on YouTube. I did not. I'm saying, is Ben Crump a race beta? Because that's what people call him. I think he kind of is, but I just think it's his job. I don't think he's necessarily wrong for doing it. You know, you have white people that have their own race hustlers that feel like they want to protect their history of white people in the country. And I think they got the right to do it. I think everybody has the right to have their own person like Ben Crump that's going, hey, we want a second pair of eyes on this. I forgot my camera's right there. We want a second pair of eyes on this to look at this and make sure everything A-okay. Because we all know this is America and we have come far, but we still kind of separated from each other. And so we don't really trust each other. So I don't care what race you are. You better have your Ben Crump that says, let's get a second pair of eyes on this. And I ain't going to think you wrong for doing it. If you white in an all black town and something happened to you, you should have your white version of Ben Crump come in there and say, hey, buddy, we want a second pair of eyes on this. We don't trust y'all. Cool. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Let's see. Aina says, so you're saying in your mind, you think this was a setup. Ben never said that. You came up with that on your own. Is what a setup? Or are you talking about Aunt? I'm thinking there was a jealousy issue between him and whoever he had a run in with speculation. Oh, yeah. Oh, you talking about the other stuff I was saying? Yeah, I was speculating. Like what Aunt just said, I was speculating before. I'm just saying I can think of a whole bunch of other things that's not racial as to what might have happened to him. But I think the introduction of Ben Crump in Mississippi by this family and the way they approached it was purely about race. They made it racial. Shout out Aunt says, facts, we are all God's creation. Shout out Hyena says the race issue is not about the guys on the boat. The race issue comes in with how the case is being handled by the white people in the system. That's your confusion. I agree with you that could be a racial aspect of it, but that is not how people on the internet are fighting about this. Like when you are on X and Spaces, or either you in Clubhouse and stuff, you have now an argument that is going amongst people where people are questioning if they're going to allow their black children to have white friends or any friends of any group. And that conversation snowballs because being in those conversations, you know where it usually ends? Somebody then brings up immigration. Somebody gonna bring up Hispanics, and they gonna be like, yeah, we can't trust them too. It snowballs. So I'm not making anything up. I'm just looking at the things people are saying. People are not leaving it on about people are not leaving it at just hey, he's in a state that, you know, given historical context, that has a history of discriminating against these people. And that's why I said I don't think what he's doing wrong. I said you should have someone like that show up and say, we need a second pair of eyes on this. So I don't have any confusion with that. That's why I said every group should have that. So I don't have no issue with that. That's why I asked the question, is Ben Crump, shout out to Clean, says, boy, you goofy. Where my camera at? Cool beans. So no, I don't have no confusion on that. A part of me thinks that you're not listening to any words coming out of my mouth at all when you say that. Aunt says, I'm wondering if there was an accident, not necessarily anyone's fault, but these kids may have been afraid. It would be assumed, and that may have been a driving factor as to why they didn't do the right thing. Mr. Late Show says, and you're doing the opposite. Mark Wallace says there's no civil rights case here. Fame says, so are you a hater? Not sure who those are too. Asking for a friend, do you like yourself? You're for a friend, do you date mostly outside your voice? Asking for a friend. Or did you mean to put race? I don't know. I love myself. Aunt says, let's all pray for the truth be known and his family and friends get answers. Terrible when any parent buries their child. Absolutely. Hyena says, if you didn't have these thoughts until Ben said, if you suggested if you need to work on your own independent critical thinking skills, respectfully. You're saying to me, if you didn't have these thoughts until Ben suggested if you need to work on your own independent critical thinking skills, respectfully. No, I have my own independent thoughts. And what I'm saying is I don't know what happened. So I'm waiting for more evidence. So I don't have an opinion as to what happened to Nolan Wells. I can think of a million different ways as to why this is not racial at all, is what I'm saying. But when Nolan Wells' story was first introduced, the way it was introduced to people was to get them to be emotional, not me. Because I don't get emotional about these things. That's just who I am. I don't. People come in the comment section and say horrible things to me. I run panels on other apps and stuff. I'm not the one getting emotional. I don't know what happened to Nolan is what I'm saying. I'm asking a question and I was going through, is Crump a race baiter? I think he is a bit of a race hustler, but I don't think anything is wrong with it. I think it is needed. So I don't see nothing wrong with it. I'm not, unless you can't fit those two thoughts inside your brain at the same time, where a person can say, hey, this is what I think you are, but I have no problem with what you are. And I think you are needed to do this job. And I think every group of people would need somebody like this, especially in this country where no one trusts each other. A shout out. Willard says yes, him and Al Sharpton. Let's see. Aunt says there was a case years ago that a white English teacher was falsely accused of inappropriate behavior by 5 white teen girls. 8 years later, one confessed they did it because they hated him because he was white. Wow. Crazy. That's sad. That's insane. If Jasmine Crockett get in the picture, oh boy, she comes with receipts. Let's see. Ben says, yeah, the only people that are racist are the people that are calling other people racist. Fact. Let's see. Aunt says by then his life had been destroyed, lost job, lost pension, lost family. Where was Al then? MIA. I think, man, they need to have harsher punishment for people that lie on people and like get them arrested and you know what I'm saying? Like and ruin their life like that. Shout out to my brother, Mr. Marcus, man. All right, brother. I'll see you next time. I got your TikTok, so I sent you a message on there. So man, just hit me back. Let's see. Michael Gibson says, yeah, you trying to the new hustle, race baiting for cash. You know, people want the truth, nothing else. Race is used for distractions away from the injustice of this case. Aunt says, hyena, true. It hasn't been handled right, but I'm hoping in time the truth will be known. I can't imagine the pain that families feeling. My brother, Mr. Marcus, says you take care and stay safe. Much respect to you always, Mr. Diabolical. You too, my brother. You too, my brother, man. Plea the fifth says my boy was lynched in a white frat house. They all lured up and no one was even seen as a suspect and labeled a suicide. You talking about somebody you know personally, plea, or you talking about the Trey Reed? And if you're not talking about Trey Reed, man, where did this happen at? That's Hyena says you are conflating what's being said online with what Ben himself is saying and what his goals are. His goals is not to implicate the white guys just because they're white. His goal is a far investigation. No, I get that, Hyena. I don't disagree with that, but I have listened to him speak and certain things, the way he talks, it does seem suggestive. He knows his position as a civil rights attorney. And so when other black people see him and he and other civil rights attorneys that he brings up there with him are talking about the history of Mississippi and everything, and that ties in, it moves people based off of race. And some people may call him a race hustler for that. If you don't see him as a race hustler for that, then that's fine. I think there's a bit of race hustling when it comes to this, but I don't think he's an evil person for doing it. I don't, because it, you know, we'll see when the case ends if he's wrong or not. But I mean, the main focus of this was, why is Trey Reed's family saying that he abandoned them? What about them? Because they're saying that it seems like when, you know, when it looks like their case wasn't racial, he dipped, he ghosted them. So if it's not about race for him and it's about getting the truth, and he out his own mouth said, as a parent, if this were my child, I would want transparency. Why does he dip out and ghost the family that's not leading him down the racial path that he wants to go? So that ain't on me. That's on Ben Crump. Mr. Late Show says Ben and Al were late to the party. Internet was already calling the friends out. Yeah, that too. That's true. They wasn't the only one, but I wasn't listening to the internet. I'm saying for people that go to official news stories and deal with lawyers, like I don't be on the internet listening, you know, to the rumors or anything. Like I looked and listened to the press conferences and things of that nature. Now I people have to think about what I'm saying. I myself, as a person that can think for himself, it doesn't bother me the way those press conferences were handled. But for other people, a lot of people are followers and they're like robots. They see Ben Crump, they see Al Sharpton, they hear them speak about the Nolan Wells case, and they go straight into is black versus white. They don't think past that. And so for people to act like what I'm saying, like I'm lying, like you seriously gonna act like people are not, people get in an uproar when they see certain people. I might not look it. Al Sharpton been doing this for decades. And when he show up and he get to speaking, or like when a Ben Crump gets to speaking, people forget details. They don't care about context or nothing. Them getting the label, especially Al Sharpton, it don't just come out from nowhere. You think people just started calling? They've been calling him a race hustler. You think that happened because Diabolical on YouTube said it? No, they've been calling him that. Let's see. Aunt says, sorry, that was 5 black teens. My apologies. I typed that incorrectly. Oh, with the story that you shared. Yeah, I'm gonna look that one up. I'm definitely gonna look that one up. Let's see. OC Mars says, do you notice they only come around when someone is dead, not to build? That's another thing people have brought up. And that's something that many people, because mind you, I think people think that white people are the ones that started calling Al Sharpton the race hustler and stuff. No, many black people in the community talk about these guys. And black people say this, that these people are not really building anything. They only come around. They look at them as like injury attorneys. Like they sit around waiting for somebody to get in an accident so they can scoop in, take advantage, and get paid. All right. Let's see. May 123 says, how about the autopsy results and maybe some evidence? He's not a history teacher. Yep. Well, he showed up. The autopsy didn't do anything when he came with the autopsy. Shout out to Aunt says, good night. I love you all, no matter what your color. Same to you. Be blessed. Appreciate you coming through. I really do appreciate you coming through. Be blessed. I'll see you next time. Jason Lee says, if it racial, then why was his layout at white church run by white people? Who you talking about? Ben Crump. What up, Rick? Let's see. Heine Queen says, so in your opinion, is there a difference between a race baiter and an activist? Yeah, there's a big difference between a race baiter and an activist. I think a race baiter and an activist can be the same person, but there is a difference between a race baiter and an activist. I think that when people are calling like Al Sharpton a race baiter, like I just recently, like the Ben Crump thing, like I look at Ben Crump a lot and stuff like that. I think he is a bit of, a race beta a little bit. But I don't think he's bad though. Al Sharpton, my opinion of him is different. But I think it's a different. An activist is showing up to build and be there, for his community regardless. Race baiters, people, what people truly, I think, mean when they call you like a race baiter, like really, or like a race hustler, is they feel like you only there for the money. They feel like you don't really care. They don't feel like you're being genuine. And that's really what people mean. But you could still be doing a good job. Like you could be a race hustler. Like let's say Ben Crump, Let's say he don't believe a word coming out his mouth. None of it really matters if he helps the family and he gets them what they deserve. But people still may feel like he's a race hustler or a race baiter, even though he gets good results. Right? But let's say people really believe in him and they can point out instances where he never got paid and he showed up and helped build and do things and stuff like that. People would be like, oh no, Ben Crump is an activist. You see what I'm saying? That's really the difference. I don't know. I say he feels a little bit. I think he's a bit of a race beta, race hustler. He comes off of that, but that's just a feeling. I don't have no proof to that. I could be wrong. I'm just some guy on YouTube. What do I know? But I still like Ben Crump. Al Sharpton, not so much. I grew up seeing Al Sharpton and stuff like that. I got my own reasons. See, like Stanley said, Crump is an ambulance chaser. Don't trust him. And that's all I'm saying. Some people see him like how people see ambulance chasers. Him, the Al Sharptons and stuff like that. And people that say that, we could be wrong. Because there's people that do work in the community all the time. And you know what happens? Nobody put a camera on them. When you're doing good and you're doing right, nobody put a camera on you. So Ben Crump could be doing all this other stuff. We just never put a camera on him, never put a microphone in front of his face when he doing that. But the minute something like this happened, all the cameras on him, microphone in his face. So we could be wrong. All of this stuff that I'm talking about today, I don't have no absolute 100% like I'm correct. So if I gave you that impression, I apologize. But now I don't feel like oh, I'm 100% correct. I know. I'm just asking a question. And I really just wanted to go over the Trey Reed situation, which I feel like he didn't handle it the correct way. But a part of me also thinks that, is this something people are using to go at Ben Crump? Because maybe he's doing a good job in the Nolan Wells case. Maybe they're using this to attack him. I don't know. Let's see. Heine Queen says, so the difference between a baiter and an activist is just the way people feel, in your opinion. Okay. Yeah, I think so. It is. A person can be an activist and still be a race baiter at the same time. A race baiter and a race hustler ain't a real position. It's just like, if it's not an official thing. But it's usually somebody that just only there for monetary gain is going to be a race hustler. Right? Just like a person can be a lawyer and an ambulance chaser, but he's still a lawyer. A lawyer is the official thing, but if people feel a way about you, they're gonna call you ambulance chaser. Let's see. Stanley says Sharpton. He's talking about Al Sharpton is a racist. Hyena says, you don't have to trust him. He's not working for you. He didn't ask you for anything. Yeah, I know. And let's see. Stanley says the family deserves justice and the truth. Yep.
On these matters, have consulted President Muriel with oceanic engineering experts to talk about how these facts are lining up. The fact that they say Nolan's body was found in the same location where they say they left him at. And so we want to know, how is that possible with the oceanic tides? Yeah. We want the experts. I mean, you got low tides and high tides. It's not adding up. So we are going to dot every I and cross every T until we find out what happened to Nolan Wells. Attorney Hurst, we're also going to a little more detail, and Attorney Park, about how we're trying to coordinate with Dr. Roger Mitchell, who conducted the.
Shout out to Rich, who says if the other kids weren't white, this shit wouldn't even be going on. Be real with yourselves. Rich, I was trying to allude to that earlier, but you know, people don't want to admit it. So I agree. And it could be a black kid missing that went out on a boat with his black friends in an all-white town. They would have not brought up Mississippi's history. Right? But that goes back to what Hyena Queen said. When Hyena Queen said that what she put? She said no, they're only calling out the racism in the investigation, which suggests that, which I get it. You want to make sure they investigate black deaths the same way they investigate white deaths, right? But I don't think Ben would have been there had this been a black boy on a boat with black kids, because it still would have been in Mississippi. And I'm sure that black people killing black people in Mississippi, and Ben Crump ain't showed up to say, hey, let's investigate this death properly because we in Mississippi, and I'm sure the investigation was a white one. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I was saying before, like the way they reported this, what happened and what it went on, the investigation could not be the only target. Those white boys had to be the target as well. If you change them out and insert black children, none of this other stuff happens. But I don't want to be accused of being black and hating myself. So, See, Rich says seems like it's all for attention and money. Hyena Queen says, because again, if it was all black kids, it would have already been an arrest. That's the issue. That is not true. I don't know why people say that. There are black people that have committed crimes that are not in prison. And as a matter of fact, they did a news story. Was it Chicago or DC where you had all those violent offenders on ankle monitors and they lost them? They didn't even know where they were at. Plain black people ain't getting arrested. But I think that's what people actually think. People actually think, oh, if you black, you don't get, like, plenty of black people get away with crime all the time. That's why people were so upset with the crime bill, with Bill Clinton and Biden and all them in the crime bill. You had black people serving time, all that time for drugs, nonviolent offenses, but you had people murdering people, you know what I'm saying, in 15, 20 years. There's a lot of black people at home chilling that murdered people. They ain't getting nothing but like 15, 20 years. They at home. And they murder people. You know, it's like to say that they would have been arrested. No, they would not have. If they would have came back, they would have just said, okay, you know, it was an accident. I don't think that just because you black and you go out on the boat and your friend, you know, or something happens to them, they lost it, they just automatically gonna arrest you and say, well, you black. That's that race talk, and that's that race hustling talk. That, yeah, if that was reversed, they would have locked them black boys up. How? What? Seriously? That's what you think? Let's see. Rich says, I just wish we all get along. Eventually, man, they are playing us all. No, I do. I feel like they playing us all. I do. I feel that way all the time. You know, when people say stuff, like even just, being black, I feel the pressure because like somebody come in here and they be, oh, you must hate your race. Like, why? Because I said I don't know what happened with the Nolan Wells thing because I haven't got enough evidence, you know. But they, I can't believe, we still had this pressure amongst us to say things and believe things that we have no evidence of. It is ridiculous. Hmm. Stanley says this should not be a color issue, but a human issue. Yep. No, I agree with that. And I think that and that's why I'm saying with the whole Nolan thing, the way it was presented with a race thing attached to it. And that's why I'm saying anybody that's on the internet, you have to see these conversations that are coming up. There's been an increase in conversations about interracial dating, right? There's been an increase in conversation saying, well, hey man, if you black, can you have white friends? Like all of that. Like, so it's not just do white people like now I could see if the conversation was strictly on to hyena point, if the conversation was strictly on do we investigate white death and black death the same in this country? I can get that. Cool. Right. And that could lead to other conversations like do we investigate the deaths of people that are homeless or poor living on the streets the same way we do people with money and prestige, right? But this case has led to a lot of different conversations, man, and it's turned into a whole big old racial thing. And I remember my friend says, man, I remember when this case first came out, my friend sent me a message and said, bro, this is about to be the new Carmelo Anthony. Let's see. Hyena Queen says you don't get a monitor without getting arrested or being charged. No, I get what you're saying, Hyena Queen. I'm just saying I was given a list of different things, like when they act like they're just watching and monitoring and stalking down black people. I just don't believe it. There's a bunch of them murders unsolved, people not caught. They didn't have enough evidence. People sitting at home. Then there's a whole bunch of other people, violent offenders that should be locked up. So what I was really saying to what you were saying is there's always this thing where we act as if the justice system is so hard on black people. And I could just point out a bunch of people that it wasn't hard enough on them. It's really the point I was making. Hyena says, I didn't say anything about them getting away with crime. I said someone would have been arrested. You don't know if somebody would have been arrested because they don't have any evidence of anything. The boys came back, somebody's missing, they found the body. They don't have evidence of anything. They don't just arrest people like that. They don't have anything on those boys to arrest them of anything. Aina says, am I evidence that someone would have been arrested in the conviction turnover rate? They arrest black people first and figure out if they're guilty or innocent later, even after they have been convicted. And that's what I was saying before. That's not true. A lot of black people don't get arrested. I just watched a story of a black father, and he unalived his own daughter. And that's because he had gotten her pregnant. It took mind you, way more evident, circumstantial, but way more evident that he did something to his daughter. Because mind you, you talking about Nolan Wells went out on a boat to an island where there was hundreds, at least some people say maybe like 1,000 people out there on one island, right? This is a father where his daughter lives with him and she just missing. He the father, she lived with him, she just missing in the middle of the night. It's very clear he did something. They interviewed that man over and over and over again. 3 years. Then he got arrested. I think what was it? I think it was 2 to 3 years. Then he got arrested. They don't just arrest people. Mind you, he's a father. You go to the police and say, "Oh, ooh, my daughter's missing. Where is she? You the dad? Oh, I don't know where she at. Clearly, you did something to her. You see what I'm saying? So this is a dad. This is I know for sure you should know where your kid at. You're talking about Nolan Wells going out with people that are not his parents. They don't have to know where he had to keep track of him. If he say he's staying behind, they don't have. That's not really evidence of anything because they're not his parents. And they're all young kids. They ain't responsible in the first. That's not really evidence. I can show you other cases. Mom high on heroin. Matter of fact, it's 2 of them. These are black women, mind you, high on heroin. Children died. Do you know what they got? Slap on the wrist and sent home. They didn't serve any prison time. So to say that these boys should be arrested on little to no evidence is weird. I wouldn't expect them to be arrested. And you shouldn't want them to be arrested too soon. You should want them to gather all the evidence. That way is a thorough investigation. And that way, when they get a conviction, it will stick. You said, no, I don't think they would have been arrested simply because they are black. I feel like the people live in an affluent community. They have money and they would have sought out justice either way. And that's what this family is doing. They're seeking out justice either way. But you see what I'm saying? It still would have been the same process. If they were black, they still wouldn't have got arrested. They still, if there's no evidence, there's no evidence. They're going through the process right now. Aina says we're not talking about a bunch of black people in the hood. I know we're not talking about a bunch of black people in the hood, but you don't get arrested just because you're black. In some places, maybe. I ain't gonna say that all the time, but no. To suggest that these boys would have got arrested if they were black, it is silly. I don't think nobody would. You wouldn't know about this case if they were black. Let's see. This is United States. When has race not been an issue? And sometimes race is an issue. Sometimes gender is an issue. Sometimes religion is an issue. But all I'm pointing out is sometimes it's not. Exactly. Money is a factor as well, not just race. The fact that the stepmom is a judge is a factor. Yep. Let's say Aina Queen says just because you don't know about the evidence doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I don't think there's evidence enough to arrest them right now. Let's see. Hyena says, so you don't know about the conviction turnover rate because it is true. Black people have a much higher conviction turnover rate than anybody else. Black criminals not being arrested is still indicative of a race issue because either they're over policing black people or they're under protecting them. Either way, they are not being treated fairly. Let's see. Seasoned Troll says, I know we can only rely on the story of the friends that said he chose to stay behind, but honestly, do you think someone would choose to stay behind in that situation? I don't know what the situation was. If he's on the island with a bunch of other people, and he knows them, he might choose to stay behind, or he may not. But I will always say, I don't know until I get something concrete. I'm always say I don't know. No, I don't think he would choose to stay behind. That's one of the dumbest things I ever heard in my life with no phone. Let's see. Rich says, keep up the good work, bro. You're one of the rare people on here with common sense. Appreciate you, Rich. Thank you for coming through, man. I try. And I appreciate you coming through and joining the conversation. Let's see. Rich also says, if it turns out those white people did that shit, then by all means, hate that guy. Don't go putting that racist energy towards every white person you see. Agreed. And appreciate you. And I agree with that. The same way, if it's somebody out there that did something bad and they happen to be black, or even as me as a man with this whole new gender war, if a man did something to you, please hate that guy. Don't hate me. I didn't do it. Yeah. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. How long I been up here? Oh man, 2.5 hours. What time is it? I think I overstayed my welcome and I got to go to the store and I want to record some other videos and I might come back and I might do another live. But I did want to go over the Trey Reed situation with Ben Crump and is he a race beta? My personal answer, I think he borderline race baiterish, but I think he has a job that he has to do. And until we can all get along fully, I think each group of people are going to have someone that goes up there and says, hey, we need a second pair of eyes on this just to make sure we're being treated fairly. And that's cool. I hope we can get past things like this where it's just based off of being human. But I understand it's evil people all over, you know. I don't know what to say after that. I hope all you listening to the sound of my voice know that I care about you all as people, as human beings. And I wish you the best. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you will subscribe and come back and see me again. Hyena Rich, Seasoned Troll, everybody that came through. It was fun talking to you. Shout out to Aunt as well, who I was talking to, and Stanley. And May and OC Martin, Mr. Late Show. My brother, Mr. Marcus, came through as well. Hyena, Queen, I enjoyed talking to you as well. That was a fun little debate and stuff. I'm gonna look up some of them other cases that y'all brought up too as well. Let's see. Hyena Queen says, remember the David case? They didn't arrest him for like a year after finding a body in his car, so you don't know what the evidence they have or not. Well, Hyena, I think maybe we just saying the same things, to be honest with you. Because no, I that's why I was, and that because that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't think they just arrest somebody because they black all the time. You know, this is a guy with a young girl. They had, which I think, I don't expect there to be an arrest in Nolan Wells because they didn't even immediately, even though it's different states, but there was no immediate arrest even for the David dude. How could he have not been guilty for the, like, dude, there's a body in your car. I was like, how long are they going to wait to arrest this pervert? And then they have people with his Reddit post, his songs he was making, and then I hear they recently found what's the song he had? He had a song he was going to release called "Trapped in a Tesla." I said, this sick ass bastard. You know, so that's all I meant. Was like, you know, that's why I was saying I don't think that they would just arrest somebody. I think they looking for a certain amount of evidence. And I thought the evidence was just overwhelming from the beginning. But they might have played it smart with him because they was able to get, like, remember his Amazon account, all the stuff he ordered. I think they was playing it smart with him, perhaps to keep evidence from being destroyed. And I think maybe they got a couple of people to cooperate them with something like that. But I was like, at the beginning of that case, I'm like, who else could it be? It has to be him. It has to be him. Yeah. Appreciate you, Hyena. Appreciate everyone. Good evening to you as well, Hyena. Be blessed. I hope you come back next time. It was fun. It was fun to talking back and forth with you. I'm different than other people. I like when people don't like really agree with me and they challenge what I'm saying. So I really appreciate that. That was great. But I'm gonna catch you all. I might hop on later and look at a debate or something like that. But I definitely want to record some news posts that I didn't record. I want to record the young black lady that was found hanging from a tree. I want to go over that information. And it's some other stuff I want to go over. I can't think about right now. But anywho, I gotta do it all, but I gotta run to the store real quick. I'm gonna holler at y'all all later. Appreciate everyone that came in and talked. Be blessed. Once again, it's Risky Behavior ENT. I'm Mr. Diabolical. I made this channel just to talk about and discuss human behavior and to bring awareness to the stories that I care about. All right. Appreciate you all.
Risky behavior.